Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this new video here. If you're a first-time viewer, my name's Dave, and I appreciate you watching my videos. I only have one I did on archery, a very brief video a while back on a bow I picked up at a thrift store. And I haven't done anything with that bow yet, but I do plan on making a string for it, and I'll shoot it, and I'm going to try to get some footage of shooting bows and my air guns I've been showing in my air gun videos. But the purpose of this video here is I want to kind of looking forward to showing you some vintage archery equipment that I've had most of my life that my grandfather gave me. I have not a whole lot to show you, but in this video I'll just cover a few items. But my little backstory, my grandfather was born in 1900. He was actually 2 years older than Fred Bear. If you're into traditional archery, then you know who Fred Bear is, or Fred Bear was, and Howard Hill and all them. And at a young age, like a lot of boys, I got into archery, and I had one of those cheap little fiberglass kids bows, and used to shoot. I used to one house I lived at, I used to blow up balloons, and I'd take a thumbtack and thumbtack the balloons onto a cardboard box, put them on the other side of the creek from the house, and just kept shooting until I got good enough to where I could pop those balloons. And that was a big accomplishment for a young lad. And then as I continued in it, and my grandfather saw that I had an interest in my teenage years, he gave me his bow equipment that he had. He was an avid bowyer from probably the 1930s into the 50s, in that range, when archery was starting to get real popular in the United States. And he made bows and arrows and fletched them, and I have a couple of examples to show you of bows that he made, and a couple of other things. There was a company called L.E. Stemler out of Long Island, New York. That was a big supplier. They started in the early 1900s, and I think they were in business all the way up into the 70s, and then there was a suspicious warehouse fire, and then they closed down production, but then they opened back up in other locations and manufactured some stuff, I guess, until the 80s when they went completely out of business. But they were a big supplier of people getting started in archery and building bows and things like that. You could buy bow staves from them, completed bows, all the equipment to make them, that kind of thing. Here's a neat ad I found from 1944 catalog from the L.E. Stemler company. This was their 1944 catalog. A couple of images out of it right here. Okay, so yeah, you can see in there, that I don't know if you took the time to look very closely at them, but a little bit of thunder out there. You might have heard it's getting ready to rain on me, which is good. We need the rain. They had a quiver in that the one page I saved, because I spent a lot of time online trying to find this quiver. This was my grandfather's quiver that he gave me. And this isn't the original strap. I just put that on recently. The original strap kind of disintegrated, and but it's some type of a plastic tube. It's 3 inches in diameter, 17.5 inches long, and with this leather, it's leather wrapped, and then the fringe on it. And yeah, this was my first quiver, and that my grandfather gave me. And I tried to find another one, and I never could, but then when I found that catalog, that excerpt that I just showed you out of that catalog shows a very similar quiver to this one. I think it's listed as 18 inch. They had two different lengths, and the 18-inch model was like $1.25, but it didn't have the fringe. But other than that, it looked the same. So maybe an earlier catalog had it with the fringe. This might be older than 1944. Not really sure how to date any of this stuff, when I'm showing you. But I'll start with this bow here that he made. It's a yellow wood bow, and he put a walnut on it here. Yeah, it has a sinew, what looks to me like sinew back on it, or facing, they called it, and a little hole drilled there for a piece of thread to hold the string from sliding down, so you can string it up a little quicker, I guess. And then just kind of a basic string wrapped handle, and I believe he shellacked it, put shellac on it, and you can kind of tell how old it is. You can barely see it. It may show up in the camera, but he did kind of indent it a little bit here for a rest. But I haven't shot this, and I won't shoot it. I won't string it up anymore, even though it's been stored properly. But I don't want to risk it, you know. But I used to shoot this when I was a kid, and if memory serves, it was probably right around a 35 to 40 pound bow, something like that. Wouldn't be what I would consider like a hunting type bow or anything like that, just a target bow. But I always shot canted a little bit when I shoot anyway. You know, I cant it a little bit like that, and that would help hold the arrow right here, and that little slight bit of rest that he put into this. But yeah, this one here is in pretty good shape. It's received a few dings and scratches in the moves, you know, over the years and stuff like that. So yeah, this one measures out at 68 inches long overall, and it's just a longbow, self bow with a sinew back. I love it. So there's that one, and then put up there. It's not going to fall over. Okay, and then I'll show you this other one, and this one's hickory, and it's got some reflex deflex in it, and yeah, it's a solid hickory self bow with a little reflex deflex, and it got damaged. It broke on me, I don't know, years and years and years ago, and I glued it back together. I put a bolt just in case, but I quit using it after that. I never tried to shoot it after it broke. But yeah, that's just one of those bad side effects to older bows. You know, they eventually do have the potential of breaking on you. But I rewrapped the handle. I forget what it had originally, and then I put this nylon string on it for a handle grip. Yeah, so those are a couple of bows that I'm very, very proud to have. And this quiver, like I said, it's very old, but very unique by today's standards. If you haven't noticed by now, if you've seen any of my past videos, I'm into a lot of different things. I've got a lot of interest, and archery is just one of those, and I kind of go through waves where I get into it, and then I get out of it, and then I get back into it. I've made a few bows over the years, but I don't have any of those examples. I've got a couple of PVC bows that I made, but you know, there's lots of videos on YouTube how to make bows out of PVC pipe, you know, and they're fun, and you know, something to make and shoot. But I'm into the old school traditional archery, the old stuff. I've owned a number of bows over the years, but they've all been long bows and recurves. I did buy one compound bow. I think it was back in the 80s. I can't remember the brand, but I didn't have it very long. I never got used to shooting it. I was you know, spent so many hours shooting long bows and recurves and holding the weight, and, you know, instinctive shooting and all that stuff, and having sight pegs and all these things. It just yeah, it just wasn't for me, you know. So I'm still into the old school traditional archery and everything. Now this other thing is this last little item here I want to show you. Let me know in the comments, please, if you've ever seen one of these, because I looked and looked and looked and looked online and I could not find anything. I couldn't find anything that even looked like this, and I could not find anything on the company that made it. And even though you might look at it and think it's homemade, that my grandfather made it, it actually was made by the Gold Archery Company of Toledo, Ohio. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to get that to show up on the camera, but right there it says Gold Archery Company, Toledo, Ohio, patent pending. This dowel rod is just taking place of an arrow shaft to hold it all together, but these slide out and you put your fletching in here, put your glue on it. I use this. My grandfather also gave me a bundle of about 100 Port Orford cedar shafts back when he gave me all that other stuff. So gradually over the years, I was making arrows with those and I was using this. The only issue with this is, yeah, you're maxed out at 3.5-inch fletchings with this. And most of the fletchings I think I was getting were around 4 inches. So you can't use this fletcher because it's closed off at the top up here. These just aren't long enough, It was originally painted kind of like a powder green, and it started rusting years ago. So I took it apart, cleaned it up, and just spray painted it to keep it from rusting anymore, so that it wouldn't get any worse. But the original, the cock feather fletch holder right here, has it kind of like it was like a copper plating on it, and you can still see some of the copper plating is still on it. And I believe these were copper plated too, but you can see this is a little rusty. But pretty neat little device, fletching tool, very unique. I've never seen one. I can't find another one. I said, if you own one of these or you've seen one before, you know a little bit more about the Gold Archery Company of Toledo, Ohio, I would love to hear from you. Leave it in the comments down there, and I appreciate it. I had an easy fletch for years I used to use, and when I fletched my own and made my own arrows, I had an easy fletch, and then I got rid of that. Kind of one of those times when I was getting out of archery and downsizing. I got rid of it, and then here not too long ago I made a fletching device. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos of homemade arrow fletchers, and I kind of just took some of the best parts of the various ones and I made my own design. Which has a couple of features that the ones I saw on YouTube don't have. So I'll do a video on that and show that. I've got some arrows I need to refletch and recrest. I also have a cresting jig I made to put the cresting, which is the colored bands on the arrow shafts. I have just a simple, it's kind of like a lathe, a slow turning lathe, basically, to do that kind of work on them and make arrows. Yeah, so I don't want this video to get too long. I just wanted to show you a few things. I've got some other stuff, but I wanted to try and keep this one short. And I can surely show you some more stuff in the future if you're interested. Let me know. I have a string making jig too that I made, just real simple affair, but it works pretty decent for making your own strings. But yeah, I just wanted to show you a few of these old antique traditional archery equipment items, and I sure do appreciate you watching. This is Dave. See you in the next one.